Major breaking news on the MMA front, as predicted by a lot of people. UFC 249 is not happening. This has been a long, drawn-out saga, a never-ending saga between Dana White, apparently not living in reality, and the outside world saying, dude, like, what the hell's going on? It's a freaking global pandemic. So just to briefly recap you on what the hell's been going on. Originally, UFC 249 scheduled to take place at Barclays Center in New York, which unfortunately is now the epicenter of the coronavirus. Brooklyn, my neck of the woods. So that was obviously canceled, and the UFC said, we're going to proceed with UFC 249. Then Khabib went to Russia and claimed that UFC was going to run the event either in Russia or the United Arab Emirates, where the outbreak isn't as bad. Then UAE got shut down. Then Russia got shut down. And then Tony Ferguson needed a new opponent. He originally said he wasn't going to fight anybody. And then he decided, okay, you know what? I'll make the fight with Justin Gaethje. So they signed that fight about a few days ago, this week. So it's going to be Ferguson versus Gaethje. Dana White said that he's going to rent a private island. Everybody's thinking, okay, they're going to fight on an island. But then it turns out that island's for only international fights. Weird enough, right? No Mortal Kombat for UFC 249. So then it was uncovered by the New York Times that UFC 249 would take place at the old home of the WEC and Tai Chi Palace fights and the Tai Chi Palace in Lemoore, California on a Native American reservation. Okay. Now, then issues started to arise. Never mind the fact that this is in Lemoore, California, in a state that has major lockdown rules, that's been ahead of the curve when it comes to the pandemic and sanctions and everything else. Never mind the fact that this reservation doesn't have its own athletic commission and has used officials from California, which, oh, by the way, California is not recommending anybody run combat sports events for a while. So this kept proceeding. And then we had more reports of the closest trauma center to this casino is 3 hours away. The closest major hospital is 40 minutes away. And according to multiple reports, none of these hospitals or trauma centers were even given the heads up by the UFC that, hey, oh, by the way, we're going to be running this event, and God forbid we may have to bring one of our fighters there. Never mind the fact that there's the common sense aspect of you probably shouldn't have sports right now unless you can safely test people for COVID-19. Now, Francis Ngannou, I believe it was Francis Ngannou, it might have been Jared Rosenstrike, one of the two guys. They did an interview where they mentioned that, hey, you know, there's going to be COVID-19 testing. And that's fine. But here's the thing. There's not enough tests in a city, let alone throughout the United States. My home state's only done like 100K tests or maybe a little bit more, which is nothing compared to a population of millions. And look, nobody wants the fighters to lose money. Let's make that clear. I'm a fan first and foremost, not just an observer and somebody who's covered fights. I want to see these fighters succeed and obviously compete in a safe environment. But you just can't convince me that UFC 249 would have been a safe environment. Now, do I doubt that the UFC would have done everything in its power within the confines of the situation to make things safe for them? No, I don't, because UFC has been good with taking care of fighters that are on their roster, whether it be injuries or whatever, and they're very stringent with USADA. So I don't want to hate too much on that. But there's just so much risk and total lack of reward, okay? It's one thing if there was a pandemic and people had money, and people, you know, weren't losing their jobs and there wasn't this ridiculous amount of unemployment. It's one thing if there was that, right? And I would say, okay, you know what? People have to stay home, but they got money. They could pay $65. It's another thing when you also have like a huge fight. Let's just say they were able to put together Conor McGregor, Tony Ferguson. Okay, I kind of get that. But it just makes no sense. And honestly, this isn't just reserved for UFC in terms of the criticism. It's reserved for WWE. It's reserved for AEW and any other company right now. The health risks are just too much. Just to keep it within the MMA sphere, Rose Namajunas, before this fight was canceled, had to pull out of her fight against Jessica Andrade. You want to know why? Because according to her manager, she lost not one, but 2 family members to COVID-19. 2. That's freaking crazy. That's freaking tragic. And look, all these fighters are healthy, relatively. All these fighters are some of the best athletes in the world, some of the people with the best immune systems in the world. They're living, breathing, fighting, athletic masterpieces. They are badasses. But at the same time, they could be carriers. At the same time, they can infect other people. At the same time, we don't know enough about this virus, and sometimes shit just happens. So I think this was just an incredibly irresponsible move by the UFC. And I don't want to see anybody lose money. But get this, the UFC made like $300 million in profits. $300 million in profits. Why not just cut a check to all the fighters and not have to have them worry about not being able to train or having to train via Zoom or train via Skype or whatever? It's just, it's ridiculous. You talk about being fighter friendly. If you're fighter friendly, cancel these events for now, pay the fighters their money, and live to put on an event another day. Because guess what? When you could put on an event like UFC 249 safely, guess what? You're going to make a lot more money than you would in an empty arena on a random Indian reservation. So anyway, this was the official confirmation by Brett Okamoto of ESPN. UFC 249 has been canceled. All UFC events postponed indefinitely due to COVID-19. Dana says he was ready to promote the event, but things were taken out of his control. So there you have it. So not only is UFC 249 canceled, but a number of events are postponed. Pretty much the rest of the event schedule is postponed. And yeah, just crazy to think about. Dana White confirms to ESPN that he was asked to stand down by top Disney and ESPN executives, and he is doing so. So it took Disney and ESPN, the TV partner, to tell him to chill out. Not common sense. Oh, well. But, folks, I want to hear from you. What do you think about everything going on with COVID-19 and with the state of MMA? When do you think, depending on your state, we'll be able to safely run MMA events again? Let me know. Leave a comment below. If you enjoyed this update, like, share, take care. Don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications for more sports updates like this. And until next time, please stay safe.